Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Medea and this is Made with Books. And today I am doing the leap year tag, and I don't know if I'm too late. Kelly from Books and Things was sort of like, I have to get this in before the 29th of February. I always assumed the whole year is the leap year, so if I'm late, I'm late. We'll just deal with it. I was tagged by Alan from Big Heart Books and Classics, so thank you, Alan, for tagging me. Sorry, I'm only getting to this now. And the tag was created by Hilary from Melted Books and by Amy Myers. I will link all three channels down below. So yeah, let's get into the questions, shall we? Tag question number 1 is an extra day, because we had an extra day this year. What is one book that brought a little something extra? Now, I could definitely mention Bunny by Mona Awad that I read for the book tip price. That book is a little extra, in a good way in my opinion, but I'm gonna talk about that one in another video, so I decided to go with Das Parfüm by Patrick Süskind, or in English, The Perfume. The subtitle is Die Geschichte eines Mörders, the story of a murderer. In case you don't know what this book is about, this book is about a man named Jean-Baptiste Grenoir, and he is born with an incredibly heightened sense of smell. He first goes into working with perfumes at some point, but then things take a much darker turn. And that's all I'm gonna say. And I think this book is so vividly writing about smell, which is something I have never come across in another book. It's horrifying but stunning, so I would definitely recommend this one. The next question is taking a big leap. What is one book that you were afraid to read? Now, I wouldn't say I'm ever afraid to read a book, but I'm certainly apprehensive going into some books. One of those was definitely The Wasteland and Other Poems by T.S. Eliot. And the reason is that I'm just not a big fan of modernist literature. I know I'm reading Ulysses right now, and I do want to read more modernist literature, but it's just not my favorite time period or genre. And with regards to reading poetry, I'm just not that experienced. So I read these poems. What I did was I read them multiple times. I read them first, just reading them. I then read them with the annotations. I sometimes looked up extra ideas online, and then I read them out loud to myself again. So I did enjoy some of them. Some of them I didn't, but that's just the nature of any collection, I think. So yeah, that was one that, not afraid, but apprehensive. The third question is every 4 years, what is the fourth book you read this year? And the fourth book I read this year was a play, and that was Medea by Euripides. I buddy read this with Lukash from Totally Pretentious, was from Scully Dandling About the Books, and Mark from Wordsworth Everywhere. I really enjoyed the play. I am going to make a video on the first 3 Euripides plays that I read in this collection. So I will talk about it in more detail then. This is the translation by Paul Roche, I want to say. Medea is obviously a very complicated character. If you don't know the myth or the story of Medea, the big thing is that she murders her own children. So you know what's gonna, I knew going into the play what is going to happen. It makes for a very compelling read, although I still think she could have done some things differently. She did have options, but yeah. Question number 4 is 366 days in the year. Looking at your third shelf, name the 6th book on that shelf and name the 6th book after that. So we have more than one bookshelf in our flat, we're lucky enough. And so what I did is I went to the very first shelf on the left when you come into the room where most of our bookshelves are, and that is German literature, which works perfectly for German Lit 2020, which is run by Mel from Mel's Bookland Adventure and Britta Böhler. I picked 2 books out from the third shelf. I haven't read either of them yet, so I had to look up a little something about the books to tell you something about them. The first one is Professor Unrat by Heinrich Mann. Heinrich Mann was Thomas Mann's brother. This has been translated into English under the title Small Town Tyrant. and it has been turned into a movie that probably, at least the movie title, you'll know if you haven't watched it, and that's The Blue Angel, which has been turned into a movie with Marlene Dietrich. The book itself is from 1905, and it's pretty much just a critique of the middle and upper class in the town Lübeck, where the book apparently, because of this, at the time was almost banned. People just wouldn't talk about it, or if they were forced to talk about it, they would like talk really negatively about it. And it's just because Heinrich Mann sort of talked about the mentality of these people before the two world wars, and sort of like depicted them maybe as a little narrow-minded, and yeah, it's considered one of the first campus novels, and as a foreshadowing of the German tyranny after 1933. So I have read another book by Heinrich Mann. I have read his novel Der Untertan, which translates to Man of Straw, or The Patrioteer, or The Loyal Subject. Apparently there's lots of different English titles going around for that one, and I read that when I was in high school, and I thought it was really great. Probably due for reread at this point though. That was the first one that I picked off my shelf. My notes are flying away, it's really windy. The second book is Das Totenschiff by B. Traven, or in English, The Death Ship. And B. Traven, or B. Traven, is a pseudonym that probably goes back to Otto Feige, but it has never really been completely cleared who B. Traven was. People still argue about things like his birthplace and date. The only thing that people seem to agree on is that he lived in Mexico from 1924 onwards. And this book is the story of a US-American seaman from New Orleans, and he doesn't get back in time on board of his ship in Antwerpen, where they had made a stop. And the ship leaves without him, and that leaves him stranded without any proof of his identity. And so he keeps getting deported, and he cannot live and work anywhere that he goes legally, and apparently it's often described as an anarchist novel due to its criticism of bureaucracy, nationalism, and abusive labor practices. So it sounds really intriguing. Another book that is by B. Traven is The Treasure of the Sierra Madre, which has been turned into a movie starring Humphrey Bogart. So yeah, but this is the one we have, so I'm keen to read it at this point. Both of these sound really intriguing. I haven't read them yet. Question number 5 is leaping ahead. Name 4 books that you want to have read by the next leap year, or alternative, as an alternative, you can name something on your bookish bucket list that you want to complete by the next leap year. One thing I want to do, if, you know, once traveling is possible again, I suppose, is I would like to go to the Bronte parsonage in Haworth. I've never been. I love the novels that I've read by the Bronte sisters, and so yeah, I would really like to go. I would also really at that point like to have finished Ulysses by James Joyce, fingers crossed. So I know those are only 2 things, but those are the ones that like are gonna be my goals for the next leap year. And then question number 6, a leapfrog. Name a book on your TBR that has green in it. And for that I chose the collected poetry, this is the German edition, of Tomas Tranströmer. This has been translated, sorry, from the Swedish by Hans Grössel. It's obviously the German translation. And I read last year by Tomas Tranströmer Die Erinnerungen sehen mich, which in English would be Memories Look at Me, a memoir, which I thought was fantastic. It's just sort of these, it's also been translated by Hans Grössel into the German. It's just these little anecdotes from his childhood and younger years, and it was just really cozy. I really loved it. So yeah, I want to read his poetry as well. I hope I will enjoy that too. And if it's any indication, he received the Nobel Prize for Literature in 2011 for his poetry, so here's hoping. Point number 7 is bad luck. What bookish things do you steer clear from? And the one thing that I mostly steer clear from is horror as a genre. Just because, I don't know, I used to read horror when I was a teenager, and you know, it was scary, but it was alright. But like in recent years, I steer clear both of horror movies and horror books because I just literally, I get nightmares and I just can't be bothered. I am reading Frankenstein by Mary Shelley, but it's not that scary, so I suppose that's alright. And then finally, the last thing for me to do is to tag 4 people, and I'm gonna be a little extra this time. I'm gonna tag 5 people. I'm gonna tag one channel that is still fairly new, and they don't have a lot of subscribers yet, and I think that should change because they have a lot of really interesting videos and discussions. And those are Scott and Nell from Gunpowder Fiction and Plot, so please go and check them out and send them some love. And the other ones that I am tagging, well, one that is fairly new, but I think she's been around a lot in the comment sections on BookTube before that. And she's already established quite a base and has done a lot of interesting books, a lot of interesting videos, is Roche from Skelly Dandling About the Books. And then I'm also going to tag Lindsay from Lindsay Reads, Wayne from Rainy Day Reads, and Alba from Seriella. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you still want to do this tag, even though apparently I'm too late, please do. And yeah, see you next time. Bye guys!